Hello, everyone. My name is Sarah Sheldrick, and I am the professor for COM 324, Business and Professional Communication, or Professional and Business Communication. It doesn't matter the order. We're just here to learn about communication in the business world. This is a really fun class because we get people from all over with different majors. And it's a really good class also because we all have to engage in the workplace whether it doesn't really matter what career you're headed for, whether you want to be an entrepreneur and work for yourself, a small business to corporations to big tech, whatever it is, our world is made up in layers of this business world. So for this class, you have to choose a book, and that's what this video is about. It's about getting you the information for your book. I'm going to make another video where I'm going to talk about the syllabus and the assignments. There's a few assignments I talk about in here because it has to do with the book, but that's just centered, everything in this video is centered around the book. All right, so I have the Canvas site page open right now, and I have a list of 4 books that you get to choose from, and I also have them right here. Oh man, all but one is a hard copy. Yeah, if you can find a used one, or a, you know, or a paperback, or maybe you'll find it on audio. If you have Spotify Premium, some of these books are already available on some of your streaming services that include audiobooks. So you might look for them there as well. And if you have any ideas of where you can find these books for other people in the class, that keeps it economic. That's always lovely. So spread the news if you have any. All right. These books, I kind of rotate through a few books, and the books these terms I think are really great for the way to approach the beginning of the year and the calendar year and how you want to be in the world and how that relates to your professional life. And so we are really looking through the lens of professionality and what does it mean to be a professional. When you're choosing the book for this course, I really want you to choose one that hits right for you as close as possible. Obviously, it's only 4 books, so it may not be your top of your reading list books, but something in here that you feel like you can resonate with the closest. And you have 7 weeks to read the book. Week 8 in week 9 is when we will do our final book assignments. So we would definitely want to make sure we're read up before then. When you get your book, when you decide on your book, one thing I do is I divide the book like up into 7 sections. I look at how many page numbers the book makes up, and I divide it and go backwards from there. So then all I have to do is just read to the next, however you mark it with Post-its. Here's one with Post-its on it, or with I prefer index cards because I like to write on them as I go. But whatever method you choose, and some of you might be listening to it or doing it digitally, you'll have to find your own way of tracking your notes with that that works best for you. For this assignment, let's see, I'm going to click into the assignments really clear. I know you have 3 book discussion boards. The very first assignment with the book is to choose a book. So you're going to figure out which one you want. You're going to make a video and post it this week, week 1, and tell us why. Get into that because. What's the because of your book? I chose this book because. And when you get to the because, it should be about you. It should be like what I learned about this book and how does it connect with you. This is my first video where where I'm going to be learning and meeting you. This is kind of has an element of introduction to it as we get to know each other. So here's an opportunity for you to present yourself. And this first video, let's make it about you. I already read the book, so you don't have to tell me about the book, right? Hopefully that's a clue there. Okay. You have two other book report assignments, book report 2.0, book report 3.0. Book report 2.0 is about that'll pop up in the midterm, like week 4 or 5. And that one really is a check-in on the book. What have you been learning? Did it meet your expectations, or is it falling short, or you're finding it interesting? Why? Blah, blah. Book report 3 at the very end of the term. Uh, I already said that's about week 8 or 9 that'll show up. And that one is really you helping us understand overall what this book was about. I don't want a summary though. I really just want to engage with how it connects to how it would connect to the world of business and business communication, which we will be getting into a lot of details on that. So don't get ahead of yourself. We have a ways to get to that assignment. We'll work our way there. Along the way, you have team meetings. If you've been in my classes before where you've had a asynchronous class or a team meeting element, you know this assignment. I'm not going to get too much into that into this video. There'll be another video where I talk about all the assignments of the class. But needless to say, in your team meeting, I'll assign you to a team. When the assignment opens up, you'll see a list of questions you have to prepare for the meeting. And one of them will probably be about your book. And in your team meetings, it's kind of fun. You might have people with the same book as you. And that's really interesting because it'll be interesting to hear what they're getting out of the book. And then you can share with yourself. That's kind of got that book club vibe. But then some meetings, you'll have people with different books. And then that's even really fun to hear what's happening in those other books. I try to mix it up a little bit and get everybody. It depends on the trend of the class. I had a class once where everybody almost chose the same book. So then that makes it really hard to kind of mix and match a little bit, but that's okay. If that's what was trending, that was what was trending. We go with the flow here, or we try to anyway. That's the dream. So I think that is how you can expect the book to show up in the class. So you want to read it within the first 7 weeks. Let's get a hold of this book in some form and get going on it. As you read, some of you might be like, I like to read my books all in one bite, and some of them are actually a good read where just a good weekend where you dedicated to the book, you could get through it. These are broad audience books. They're not written as textbooks, so they have a story element, a biography element that can pull you through quickly. So that means that if you're one big bite at a time of a book, you're going to come up to an assignment in 4 or 5 weeks, or in week 8, like 2 months from now. You're going to be like, I don't, I read that I read that 6 weeks ago. I don't remember what was in that part of the book, the details of it. So that's another reason to keep these cards in the book and keep track of your favorite quotes, keep track of any thoughts, and write down the page numbers, or if you're listening, the audio clips, some audio interactions like Audible, you can create bookmarks, electronic bookmarks and notes actually in the audiobook that you've downloaded. However you do it, just figure out a way that works best, that you know you can be consistent at. And then when that team meeting opens and it says, go to this chapter and tell me what stood out to you, you are not lost. Your note card is right there and you don't have to reread. Take care of your time. Your time is valuable. I only want you to have to read the book once. For me, if you want to read it again on your own, I've definitely read a few of these books more than once, so I know how that goes. Okay. So what are the books? Let's talk about that next, right? We've got The Diary of a CEO, The Diary of a CEO, The 33 Laws of Business and Life by Stephen Bartlett. And Stephen Bartlett is one of the top, I don't know, I don't know what his ranking is for podcasts, but he is one of the top podcasts in the world. So you may have actually seen his podcast before, and you could look it up right now. But this is his book, and he it's a lot about leadership, and it's a lot about taking care of yourself, how to create habits, which we have a whole book on habits, but he's going to go over it too. How to make plans and future, think about the future. So the Diary of a CEO, you really want to think about this idea of you in business and leadership, and how do you want to show up in those spaces where you're really taking care of yourself and the responsibility for others. Um, I really appreciate his podcast. Does amazing. He's an amazing interviewer. So this is just a dive into his book. Okay, next is The Hidden Potential. And I think he even interviews Adam Grant about this book, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken, but Adam Grant does a lot of online work. He has talks and things like that. So if you want to see any of these authors, you can usually go and find them. Hidden Potential is a really interesting book where he really dives into kind of the myths of how we succeed. And he talks about feedback and support systems, and goes into the whole thing that makes us who we are, and what is really the path to success, right? Business is a lot about how we succeed and grow. And so this is the science of achieving greater things. It's got a picture of a diamond coming out of this burnt charcoal. So kind of creating a visual metaphor there. And he is a pretty popular author and speaking figure. I don't know. There's probably a better way to say that. So that's one of our books as well. I hope you can see where we're going with this style of books and communication. All right, the next one is Atomic Habits. This one is, I think it's still pretty popular, even though it came out a few years ago. And it was number one for a long time. If it's still, it probably is, it might still be or on some lists. So, but James Clear, he's actually, I just saw him on Steve Bartlett's show, which reminded me of how important this book is. And really, the idea of habits is really the idea of discipline, of how you start your day, how do you get into your day, what is the effectiveness of work and or discipline, or how do you reach a goal? And if you can't do that for yourself, if you want to lead a team or you want to be a coach and in professional environments, you have to figure out how habits develop, how to create rituals and effectiveness around them. And it starts with a pretty intense story of how personal story from James Clear on his experience of why he fell into this topic from an athletic injury. Um, and he talks a bit about that at the very beginning, but then he really goes into this. And even since this book, there's even this topic is still growing, and he's even getting more and new, better, even research on this. It's really inspiring book for habit making. And since we're in the season of resolutions, it's a good book. All right, the next book is called Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes. And if that name sounds familiar, it should. She is one of the most prolific and number one screenwriters. She is Shonda Land is her production company name. She is the genius behind Grey's Anatomy, Scandal, How to Get Away with Murder, the Bridgerton Diaries series, and many, many more. She is nothing to sneeze at her level of success in creating screenplays and production. And this book in particular is a journey where she overcomes her own anxiety and especially her anxiety to appear in public and do public speaking events. She goes into quite a lot of detail on her experience of trying to be in public and how to take care of her health. She has children, how she's managing career, and the experience of being there for her kids. So, Shonda Rhimes, and there's lots, if you get, depending on if you get the book or not, there's some really fun pictures in here as well. All right, you have something to do right away, which is to choose a book here from our list. We have some really good ones. All of these, I don't know how you're going to choose. I don't know if it was me, I could not. I could not even choose. They're all really good. They're really going to ask you to look at yourself as a communicator and your own goals and your lifestyle, and how does your lifestyle match up with your goals. Um, so I hope you can find something in there, and I look forward to seeing your choices in your first book report post. Talk to you all soon. Bye bye.